Welcome, dear viewers, to a profound exploration of four-dimensional thinking, where the boundaries between internal and external thought and reality begin to blur. Let's begin. Imagine for a moment that everything exists now, in this precise instant. That's the essence of four-dimensional thinking, a paradigm that transcends the restrictions of conventional perception. It's about the belief that the internal conversations we have, those silent dialogues within us, not only shape our thoughts but also the external world around us. What we think and talk about in the depths of our mind weaves the structure of our experiences, both with people and the world around us. These thoughts and internal conversations are the seeds of imagination, and what we imagine manifests in our lives as scenes on the screen of space. But what is it that we truly want to create and experience? When we speak of creation, we're not referring to conjuring something from nothing. We're talking about bringing to light what already exists in invisible reality. For all things exist in their essence, all things already exist, awaiting the moment of their realization. Think of this as a journey towards the realization of that pre-existing reality. Our internal dialogue, our thoughts and visions act as a compass guiding us on that journey. Our inner voice, distinct from the incessant mental chatter, speaks in the spirit of harmony and abundance. It reminds us that in the realm of the fourth dimension, all things are possible. Four-dimensional thinking is a wisdom often shared by Neville Goddard, who encouraged us to be imitators of God, contemplating how God evokes the invisible as if it were visible. The invisible becomes visible, and this notion extends to our own lives, for we too can bring the invisible into the realm of the visible. To do this, we must utilize the power of imagination. Before externalization, our internal conversations, those intimate dialogues with ourselves, serve as the cradle of imagination. They are the seedbed of what we imagine and eventually manifest in our lives. Therefore, in four-dimensional thinking, we learn to echo the divine act of calling the invisible into the realm of the visible. We cultivate faith which, as Neville wisely expressed, is loyalty to the invisible reality. It's a deep trust in the existence of all things, even if they haven't yet found expression in our physical world. That's why I reinforce time and again in our videos that we are the architects of our reality. We can sculpt it with our thoughts and mold it with our internal conversations. What we visualize in our minds is not just a passing thought, it's a process that's unfolding before us. As Neville once said, many people, including myself, have observed events before they occurred. That is, before they occurred in this world of three dimensions. How can man observe an event before it occurs in the three dimensions of space? Life on Earth must proceed according to a plan, and this plan must exist somewhere in another dimension and be moving slowly through our space. Our senses, as powerful as they are, often blind us to the invisible wonders that surround us. To truly see the invisible, we must free our minds from the limits of sensory evidence. We must focus our attention on the invisible, feeling and perceiving it until it becomes as real as the tangible. Throughout our lives, we've been conditioned to believe that our sensory experiences define reality. However, there's a point in our spiritual growth where we begin to think independently, as the expression goes, thinking outside the box. And at that moment, we discover desires that are unique to us. Some may even consider us geniuses or creative thinkers. In manifesting the desires of our hearts, we gain insights into how to transcend the limits of three-dimensional thinking that often tie us to the past and future. Therefore, when we affirm that something is done, we shift to a different state of consciousness. Although the external world may seem unchanged, our perception transforms and a new reality reveals itself to us. By aligning our internal dialogue with our vision, we decrease the distance between our desires and sensory data. Thus, we no longer feel overwhelmed or harmed by external circumstances, opinions, or environments. We effortlessly select experiences from the outer world, guided by our inner voice that leads us down unexpected but purposeful paths, and connects us with people and environments that are in tune with our spiritual journey. That's the essence of our inner journey, where intuition, internal dialogue, and our deepest desires converge to create a life beyond common understanding. In the fascinating journey of manifesting our desires, certain circumstances and information have fundamental roles to play. But let's explore this concept further to uncover the hidden truths that can transform our lives. Imagine, for example, that you've decided to start a new career. Now think, what if you could experience the essence of that new career as if it were already a reality? To experience that essence, we need to enter the vision of what is desired with all our senses activated. Immersing ourselves in this imaginative world, in this sacred moment, we make an act of faith. And it's here that a profound change occurs. This is the crucial point of manifestation and four-dimensional thinking. Even if superficial reality seems unchanged, we begin to perceive subtle changes. Feelings and inspirations begin to arise, and people enter our lives unexpectedly. These connections direct us towards opportunities that transcend the conventional. To master the art of seeing the invisible, it's essential to free your mind from the limitations of the five senses. Then, focus your attention on an invisible state, feeling it until it becomes as real as the world around you. This is where imagination takes the lead role. A good practice is also to enter an almost sleepy state where you fix on a single image that represents what you want to achieve. Or you can even create affirmations declaring that it's already done. All these practices lead us to a different mental state, and it's in this state of mind that we experience the sensation that it's already done. So, think of your thoughts as a concentrated beam of light. When you concentrate seriously and intensely in a specific direction, other sensations disappear into the background, almost as if they've faded away. Concentration is, therefore, the key to manifestation. A crucial part of concentration involves tuning into our internal conversations. Therefore, make sure your internal dialogue is consistently aligned with the desired outcome. Observing internal changes, you'll also naturally witness changes in the external world. It's a harmonious dance between your inner world and external reality. This process fosters joyful concentration and an unwavering focus on your vision, because you understand that the power is within you. Your inner world is the catalyst for transformation, shaping the external world to reflect your assumptions and beliefs. With each passing day, you become more capable of changing your conversations and observing the beautiful metamorphosis in your external reality. So remember, in essence, the power to create your reality resides within you. This practice opens the door to a profound spiritual vision and grants us the ability to look beyond the world of the senses, where hidden truths are waiting to be discovered. As the ancient sacred text reminds us, for since the creation of the world God's invisible qualities, His eternal power and divine nature, have been clearly seen, being understood from what has been made, so that people are without excuse. Romans 1 verse 20. To understand our vision, we must comprehend that it functions independently of our natural faculties. We cannot rely solely on our physical senses, we must awaken our spiritual senses to truly discern the mysteries of life. It may seem contrary to what we've been taught about how the world of the five senses works, but it contains the key to what we call four-dimensional thinking, the belief that all things exist here and now, for these events can be observed before they manifest in the physical realm. To cultivate this four-dimensional thinking, we need to turn our attention inward and observe our internal dialogue, the conversations we have with ourselves about our daily experiences and our vision for the future. I'm not saying you should get trapped in a future that hasn't yet arrived. This knowledge is only to help you better understand the concept and manifest what you desire for your lives. For example, think of times when we seem to receive rejection from the world around us. And someone may question our aspirations, saying that you or I are destined to fail. I know it can be a bit uncomfortable to hear this, but everything happens within you. Before this external event occurs, there was an internal conversation, perhaps something like, "I doubt my ability to succeed. Can I really achieve this?" That internal doubt, fed by your own thoughts, manifests externally as disappointing words from a person towards you. The denial we encounter in the sensory world may reflect a doubt or assumption within you. The power to change your reality lies in changing those internal assumptions. All changes, all transformations, originate in our consciousness. These changes do not occur in the external world as they may seem. They begin as subtle movements within us. It's similar to a story unfolding on the grand stage of our lives. Imagine the theater of your external world as a reflection, a mirror revealing internal changes. Behaviors, environments, circumstances, and the information we encounter are the canvas on which our internal changes are painted. It's through this unfolding that the inner world manifests in the outer world. Now, with all my heart, I hope this concept is the key to the transformation you seek, whether in your desires or even in your spiritual growth. Try not to perceive yourself as mere products of your five senses, for this can result in a state of drifting in a reality we believe we cannot control. To purify our minds, to adjust our internal conversations, we need to recognize that these conversations are not just reflections of our experiences, they are, in fact, the architects of our outer world. This may initially seem challenging, as we assume they are the cause of our reality. However, with dedication, we can gradually change our perspective. Therefore, remember this: all change is born in consciousness. Even the future, meticulously detailed in anticipation, offers multiple paths at each stage of our lives. But it's our internal conversations, our dialogues with the external world, whether through circumstances or information, that guide us towards the future we desire. There are many ways to achieve what you want, whether through force, flow, or a mixture of both. But the choice is yours. If you understand that all changes occur in consciousness, your internal dialogue will shift towards proactivity. When you affirm that all power and everything exists now, you enter a world of infinite possibilities, shaping your reality with intention and grace. I thank you for embarking on this journey with me. If this video resonated with you, I invite you to give it a like and subscribe to our channel. Share this video with others so they can benefit from this message, and don't forget to leave a comment below sharing your thoughts, reflections, and experiences. Now, let me delve deeper into a crucial concept that Neville Goddard emphasized in his teachings: the crucifixion as the story of humanity. Our human story begins with birth and ends with death, but in the divine story, it begins with death and ends with birth. There is a complete reversal of these stories. In this fantastic drama, I believe we have misinterpreted the role of Jesus Christ, transforming him into an idol that hides the true God from us. Before continuing, I'd like to remind you that you can find more personal growth and spiritual content on our channel. All you need to do to access this key to evolution is subscribe and activate notifications. Let's return to the book of Luke, chapter 18, verses 31 to 34, where it says, "Behold, we are going up to Jerusalem, and everything that is written about the Son of Man by the prophets will be accomplished. For he will be delivered over to the Gentiles and will be mocked and shamefully treated and spit upon. And after flogging him, they will kill him, and on the third day he will rise." But they understood none of these things. This saying was hidden from them, and they did not grasp what was said. This is the story of every human being born of woman. No human being could cross the threshold that leads to conscious life without the help of God's death. That is God's purpose, to give himself to us as if there were no one else in the world, only God and you, God and me. Truly believe it. If you believe it, then the most credible gospel in the world becomes possible and real. He takes the Son to reveal that it is true. Now, this is the story as it was revealed to me. You might think it was just a dream, simply wonderful, exciting, but I can tell you it wasn't a dream. It was an experience more vivid than this moment here in this room. True vision is much more intense than anything you've experienced in this world. On that specific night, I was walking with a great number of people, as if all of humanity was walking in a certain direction, and I was just one among countless people. As I walked with them, everyone was dressed in very vivid Arab colors. A voice shouted, the voice said, "God walks with them." A woman to my right, perhaps 30 or 40 years old, asked the voice, "If God walks with us, where is he?" And the voice answered from the blue, "At your side." The Bible speaks of 3 days between the crucifixion and the resurrection. But this is all symbolism. Matthew 27 verse 46 and Mark 15 verse 34 quote the last cry on the cross as Psalm 22 verse 1, my God, why have you forsaken me?" John 19 verse 30 quotes the moment when he said, "It is finished. Father, into your hands I commit my spirit." These were the words, "Into your hands I commit my spirit, you have redeemed me, O Lord, faithful God." He kept his faith, for he told me, unless I die, you cannot live. But if I die, I will rise again, and you with me. We come to the very act of crucifixion, which was in itself a resurrection. A time interval between them, without a doubt, but I can tell you that no one in this world can fail, as quoted in Romans 6 verse 5, for if we have been united with him in a death like his, we shall certainly be united with him in a resurrection like his. Everyone in this world will be resurrected, but a time interval is necessary, with all the blows of the world, to become an immortal garment. Now, listen to this carefully. This was given to me and I accept it for what is promised. This promise begins in Genesis 17 verse 19, the promise of a son called Isaac. And most people have a strange concept of Isaac. The Lord begot Isaac. Isaac should not be seen as a result of generation, but as the form of the begotten. Here is God, the unbegotten, taking form in us, and when he completes that form, it is perfect. His eyes then see us born from above. Thus, Isaac is the conformation of the unbegotten. God is not begotten, he begets himself in man, in the individual man, and when he was begotten in me to satisfaction, I was born from above and went through the whole series in the interval of 9 months, calculated by Caesar's calendar, with thousands of years before that. I don't know, I can't say. I would if I knew, for I have no secrets, and when I receive that knowledge, I will share it with you. But I don't know, the veil was not lifted to that point. But I know that when he decided what he had begotten in me, then it will take 9 months for the whole series of these mystical experiences, as described in the scriptures, to fully develop within me. I can tell you that this will also happen to you, and therefore, there is no defined time. I am 9 months from the moment of birth, but when that birth happens, everything will be in God's hands, and you and I are put through the furnace of affliction. Let no one tell you that you won't. Isaiah 14 verse 24 says, "As I have planned, so shall it be, as I have purposed, so shall it stand." I am inclined to believe that, despite the pain, despite all the things that man has plotted and planned in this world, there is a definite period. The book of Habakkuk tells me there is, but it won't tell me in what period it is. It says that the vision has its own appointed time, and it will mature, it will blossom. If it seems slow, wait for it, it will surely come, it will not delay. The vision has its own appointed time. I assure you that the last session will occur in the mind, in the individual, while still in the body. The moment he removes that veil called body, he is clothed with the garment that God, and only God, made. God was indeed molding himself with that garment, without my consent, without my knowledge, molding that unbegotten being that he is and giving himself. So, when he achieved giving this to himself, he satisfied that immortal garment that he wore. So he wore it, for a man am I, and I can tell you that in all my experiences, I never had a change of identity. Never. I was always aware of being myself. I never had any sensation of being different from what I am, and something was happening in me. It was God. As we are told in Philippians 1 verse 6, and I am sure of this, that he who began a good work in you will bring it to completion at the day of Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ is a vocation, which is God, and he will not stop until he brings it to Jesus Christ in you. But we take Jesus Christ and transform him into an image, an idol, and knowing that we made him an idol, now the true God is hiding from us. It is God, the only God, who really took form in you, and when he takes form in you, it is a form, a mold. But this cannot inherit the kingdom of heaven. It is flesh and blood. This is necessary to mold it over him, for what has been molded over him is God, the unbegotten, and since he is the Spirit, it is molded as spirit and immortal as yours. And then you are God dressed as you could dress God in form. He is dressed as a form, and that is you. Thus, he is not begotten, but this began with the crucifixion. The crucifixion does not end the drama, it begins the drama. Thus, each one becomes a conscious being that breathes, that lives, because God died for him. It is the mystery of life through death. As we are told in John 12 verse 24, "Truly, truly, I say to you, unless a grain of wheat falls into the earth and dies, it remains alone, but if it dies, it bears much fruit." It has to die in the earth, and it will die, and this is the earth, the body, which is the kingdom of God. and God falls into this earth and dies. He forgets that he is God in his belief and that he is man. God effectively becomes man. That man can become God and mold himself, that unbegotten being, over man. And when he is satisfied with that molding process, in God's eyes, it is perfect. Therefore, if it is perfect, then God is born in man. This is how God effectively gives himself to us. Each of us is given as if there were nothing else in the world, only God and you, God and me. He is the whole gospel story in that narrative. Thus, the crucifixion, from my own personal experience, is not as the churches describe it. It only enters in the middle of that interval, be it 6,000 years, I don't know, but in that interval we must be hated, as we are told in Isaiah 48 verses 10 to 11, "Behold, I have refined you, but not as silver, I have tried you in the furnace of affliction. For my own sake, I do it, for how should my name be profaned? My glory I will not give to another." There is no other way in the world that can bring me to that state of perfection and weave me into an immortal body to receive God himself as my own being. Thus, I went through all the fires of affliction and those intense trials. Therefore, do not worry. The one whom God afflicts for secret purposes, he comforts, heals, and calls friend. When you and I enter into the glory of God, as we are told, when he came to a place called Calvary, there they crucified him, Luke 23 verse 33. The key is Calvary, which is translated as the definition of Golgotha. Another definition is the Holy Sepulchre. It is our own wonderful human skull. It is there where he is crucified. But he is also nailed to the cross, enslaved through the feet and pierced on the side. John dedicates much space to the piercing of the side. He does not dedicate space to the cry of abandonment, my God, why have you forsaken me?" How lonely he cries, "It is finished." And then the soldiers wounded him on the right side, and blood and water came out. Throughout the centuries, they have tried to somehow explain it. They cannot explain it by something biological, unless a birth always involves the phenomena of blood and water. When a child is born, the sac breaks and there is a flow of blood and water. This is a birth. To understand it, let's return to Psalm 31, "Into your hand I commit my spirit, you have redeemed me, O Lord, faithful God." And he is faithful. He promised and he did it. It is only a symbol of a birth of someone who is held back. That's why I tell you, do not cry when you hear it. Rejoice, for it was God's sacrifice for himself, because he desired to individualize himself in countless suits in all of us. Neville Goddard says that everything is possible. The enigma of Jesus Christ. Tonight I'm going to call this an enigma, because every creative mind faces the challenge of an enigma. Now, an enigma is defined in the dictionary as an object or person difficult to understand. It is also a filter to separate the wheat from the chaff, or a perplexing question. Now I ask you, who is the greatest of the great on earth who was never born, lived mortal as you and I understand the term in this secular world? I could use the plural and say they who were never born as mortals. But tonight I will limit myself to the greatest of the great on earth, the one who is worshipped by all. As far as I'm concerned, it is Jesus Christ. I believe you will agree with me when I say that we did not choose the environment in which we were first born, but we quickly adjusted to everything we found here in this section of space, the customs, the classrooms, the region, the religion, and the doctrine. This is true for everyone in the world. If they were honest with themselves, everyone would admit that they did not choose their environment, they simply found themselves there. God the Father placed you in this specific era, for it is the most suitable for the work he does in himself in you. He did it willingly, preparing you to accept all the consequences of this world with confused beings, with all its entanglements and enigmas. He did this in you because Christ is the power of God and his wisdom is buried in all of us. Now, let's return to the scriptures. In chapter 6 of Isaiah, we are told that the Lord God blinded their eyes and hardened their hearts so that they would not turn and be healed. So, when someone awakens along the journey and the scriptures are fulfilled in him and he says it, only some will accept it and believe. Most will reject it because they will only see his mortal form in the world of men. They will know his father, his mother, his sister, and his brothers. But when he tells them exactly how this unfolds and they don't believe, his story is completely discarded. But those who hear him and believe will experience the scriptures. They too will tell their experiences. However, the masses will deny them because their eyes were blinded and their hearts were hardened. God the Father is not outside. I am in the Father and the Father is in me. If you turn, you will see this transforming into that which you contemplate. It will disappear from sight. Everything you see now, which seems so real before your face, is only a shadow made real by the world. This I know from experience. So, he blinded their eyes and hardened their hearts so that they would not see with their eyes and perceive with their hearts, and turn and be healed. These same words are used in the Greek sense. The prodigal son came to his senses, turned, remembering his father, and went home to receive the great robe, the ring, the fattened calf, and shoes for his feet. You and I were deliberately blinded by the Father in us. Our hearts were hardened by the Father in us. So the words are true, and when you come to the end, you will say, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. God the Father uses the tyrants of the world for purposes beyond their own. Every person in the world is just a mask that God the Father wears while playing that role. Man sees and judges the mask, but the occupant does not see because his eyes were blinded and his heart hardened. God is representing each of us based on the environment in which we were placed, not by our own choice, for we were subjected to futility not willingly, but because of him who subjected us, in hope. And we cannot go back until we reach his predetermined destination. Christ was never and is not a moral person. Those who believe he was born from a woman's womb have no ears to hear and understand when they are told who Christ really is or who the Father really is. For them, he who has seen me has seen the Father is an enigma that cannot be understood. But when the sum total of all man's experience is formed into a young man who calls you Father, the enigma is solved. David is the one who sees you and, therefore, sees the Father. However, he, being the greatest of the great on earth, did not have a moral birth. We call Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, and Jesus Christ. You and I, dressed as we are in these moral garments, live their drama. Because only the Father is playing all the roles, willing to accept all the consequences of that terrible experience for himself in Christ. God the Father believes that Christ is another besides him, but he who has seen me has seen him who sent me. Everything in me, he sent me to clothe myself with this garment of flesh that you see. He placed me on this small island of Barbados in 1905, with many brothers, in a limited environment and without social, intellectual, or financial background. So, because I was filtered before in 1905, I could not bear the environment in which I was recruited and felt the restlessness of a creature to continue my search. My only exceptional corporal punishment in this world was for the Bible. In response to my school teacher's question, I said take up your bed and walk when he asked for my Bible and I couldn't show it. I was authorized to be beaten. I was beaten from my buttocks to my feet for the Bible. But throughout my life I have been restless for the Word of God. I know from experience that if a man could simply turn his eyes, he would no longer be blind, nor would his heart be hardened, because he would see that he himself and the being who sent him into the world are one. He must be perfect as his Father in heaven is perfect. So I tell you, have courage. No matter what has happened, what is yet to happen, or what is happening right now. One day you will be baptized into Jesus Christ, you will turn around and upon seeing him, you will be incorporated into his being. To be baptized does not just mean to be completely covered in liquid. It does not mean water, because the Messiah is Christ, and the Messiah is the placenta, the one who is anointed with oil. There is a living fluid, living water, with which you go through to merge, just as a drop of water merges with the ocean. However, your identity or individuality is never lost. The last words of Christ in the book of Luke are, "Stay in the city until you are clothed with power from on high." The power is Christ, the wisdom is Christ. To clothe is to imbue. In other words, wait until I have clothed you with myself, and on that day you will literally say, I am in Christ and Christ is in me. Believe when I say that I am in the Father and that the Father is in me. I came from the Father and came into the world. Again, I am leaving the world and going to the Father. The entire drama of the scriptures unfolds within us and has nothing to do with any being who was born mortally. Christ is in you, that is your hope of glory. He is born from within and does not walk on the earth as you do, who were born from the womb of woman. So, who is Christ? This is the enigma of enigmas. The question is asked throughout the scriptures. In the book of Proverbs, the question is asked, who has established all the ends of the earth? What is his name, and what is his son's name? Surely you know. Who established all the ends of the earth? It is the Father of fathers, one of infinite love, whose Son is life. It is he who established all the ends of the earth and holds it within you. It is his servant. This power that will be revealed in you is not an earthly demonstration, but the manifestation of your divinity after your arm has been revealed. When you leave this world, you become one at the right hand of the Father, because you are David, his right hand. God the Father unveils himself in you, for there is nothing but God, nothing that is not God, and you are only God. Here is the compound unity, one composed of us, diversity in unity. Just as death, I dwell in them and they dwell in me, and we are one. Here is the diversity in unity. He looks at me and I see myself, my world expelled. Now I can see the diversity in unity, as everything in me. I contemplate everything. Although it seems to be outside, it is within me, in my wonderful human imagination, of which this world of mortality is but a shadow. As they separate, everything moves towards the final event. I am not saying this to please those who attend my meetings, because whether they come or not, it doesn't matter. My way of life is no longer interested in the things of this world, nor does it shine among the shadows, because I know that the greatest of the great never walked on earth and was never born mortally. I do not wish to establish something here for the shadows to say how wonderful I am. Aren't we all moving towards the inevitable end, becoming like the prodigal son and being embraced by the Father, thus becoming the Father? And on that day, you can forgive everyone, knowing that they know not what they do. Every word of the scriptures is true, because I experienced it. But it is not secular history, it is the history of salvation. Let Christ awaken within you, and one day you will turn and find joy in your return. I was sent to the presence of the risen Christ. I did not turn. If I had turned, I would not be here. I was sent to his presence to answer the question that was asked of me and then join his body so that I could contemplate the journey at any time, from my entry until now and my departure from this world. I can turn, and when I do, you will read about the usual Neville. My journey has come to an end. In conclusion, dear viewers, I invite you to reflect deeply on these teachings. Four-dimensional thinking and the understanding of our true divine nature are concepts that can radically transform our perception of reality and our life experience. Remember that each of you is a unique expression of the infinite God, and you have the power to manifest your deepest desires through imagination and faith. Don't forget that the true Christ is not an external historical figure, but an internal reality waiting to be awakened in each of us. As you cultivate this awareness, you will find that your life transforms in ways you may have never imagined possible. I encourage you to practice these teachings in your daily life. Observe your thoughts, pay attention to your internal dialogue, and always remember that you are the architects of your own reality. Trust the process, have patience, and maintain faith in your inner power. Thank you for accompanying me on this journey of discovery and transformation. If this message has resonated with you, don't hesitate to share it with those you believe could benefit from it. Remember to activate notifications so you don't miss future content that can further enrich your spiritual path. Until our next encounter, I wish you a life full of revelations, growth, and wonderful manifestations. May the light of your true self shine brightly, and may you find the peace and joy that come from recognizing your divine nature. Until next time.